When I apply my makeup, it's a bit like pushing a blanket around on the floor with a stick. Anyways, take care. Bye.
Don't you dare.
Don't you dare swirl. Once liquid's
Buff tap
done.
swirl, Bare Minerals, jail. You want to shake that brush and it's like,
just a
white
little.
boy at the club, barely moving.
That red lip with zero foundation is gonna bring out every touch of red and pink in your face.
If you could only choose 3 brands to use for the rest of your life, only for makeup, which brands would you use?
Clinique, Bare Minerals.
Shut up.
Skincare under that damn makeup. Not just Seabreeze astringent, you disgusting pig.
You're just looking at me so matter of fact. Like, may I help you? Oh, you had a little trouble with your lip there. That's
Yes.
That's just
Great. Yeah. No, it was good. It was good. It was fun.
Yeah.
I liked it.
That's just the liquid lip.
I had fun.
Yeah. I think it was that lip gloss. Took it off.
I had fun.
Yeah.
Do you know what lip gloss it is?
It looks like Clinique.
Clinique Black Honey Pop.
Well, that's what you get
Yeah.
for putting on Clinique Black Honey. You have a gorgeous red liquid lip on. What was that, Lime Crime?
Lime Crime Blood Moon.
And right before we were
Blood
about
Moon.
to hit record, Kevin put a black honey gloss on top and it removed it.
Trying not to be hateful, but even more of a reason why I hate them is that it
Ew.
removed my liquid lip.
That is like shit brown. Is that red?
It's supposed to be black honey.
That ain't right. That ain't right.
This is dried blood.
Are there any good horror movies coming out this year?
Mean Girls 3.
No.
No. Horror movies.
I hope they reboot the Scary Movie franchise the way they're talking about with Anna Faris. And because now that I feel like Regina Hall is like
Yeah.
uber famous, like,
Yeah.
oh my God, Cindy, the TV is leaking.
Yeah, they need to.
Oh my God.
This bitch messing up your floor.
Yeah.
Like that. Her lines in that movie were crazy. Scream 7 is coming in 2025.
They are just rolling those out.
Well, Neve Campbell is coming back now, so they didn't sign her on for the last one because she wasn't like, with her negotiating her thing, she literally said like, you owe this franchise basically to me. Like this has been based around me. And they weren't paying her. So she was like,
the boom boom Scream.
no, like literally. Yeah. And she's like, Scream is nothing without what we have built it to.
Mm-hmm.
And you're signing on David Arquette and Courtney Cox and all of them. And they literally wouldn't meet her like price, like a fair wage.
Yeah.
And they didn't sign her on. And it was like the biggest mistake ever because they had to say in the movie, like, she moved away. And
she's busy.
She's busy. And like, no matter where she moves, they always find her. Like in one of them, they moved to California and she was like, or somewhere in the hills somewhere. It was like outside of California or
Beverly Hills?
I don't know.
Oh my
girl.
God, you gotta go to Beverly Hills.
Or it was based in, I don't know. But they always like, Ghostface always finds her.
Yeah.
And this one, she just magically was like,
yeah,
I'm staying away from me and
Unfindable.
my kids.
Yeah.
And she changed her name in one of them and they still found her. So please, I was like, but they're now paying her like what it should be. But like the whole cast, like with, because like a lot of them are not returning.
Yes.
Because there were issues. I forget why, but like I don't know why it was so long ago, but that like Melissa Barrera is not a part of it. They like fired her.
Okay.
Which is like crazy.
Was what's her
was
face is
Sam.
Wednesday Addams' sister?
Yes.
Okay.
So that it was like their storyline was like the reboot was about them.
Yeah.
And so now that they have to like pivot and now it's going to be about Sydney and Gail.
Sydney and Gail.
Yeah.
When I tell you that, I always say when I saw, what was the last one? 6?
Yeah.
In theaters, but it was a screening for this like LGBT PR, so it was all gay guys. When Courtney Cox came on screen and then was fighting him, it as if
in her apartment,
girl, as if Princess Di came back from the dead. Like every gay guy in there was like, like losing their
when
wigs.
she got, spoiler alert, when she gets stabbed, when she has the knife, and I was like, girl, you grab everything, you get away, walk away.
Oh,
you got the murder weapon,
absolutely.
You get out.
Yes.
First of all.
Yes.
It's your apartment. Get out.
Yeah.
Lock the door.
Mm-hmm.
So at least
lower the blinds.
Lock the doors. It's time for a kiki.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Lock the doors, lower the
Lower the
blinds.
blinds.
That's going to be stuck in my head all night, you son of a bitch. But like, it's just, oh my God. Yeah, when I was in the theater, non-gay screening, people were like screaming.
I know.
That when she got stabbed, I was like, oh no. And then when
know.
she was like about to die and they were like, we still have a pulse. I'm like, oh, she's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, that's their way of saying, no, we need her for the next one.
Absolutely.
'Cause
Well, I
it's
died.
just-
The end of the last one, that one girl got stabbed in the stomach on the subway. And then 10 minutes later, after the battle in the like theater or whatever, the girl who got stabbed in the stomach just goes running up to the ambulance.
Yeah.
As though she was stabbed. And I was like, what? Yeah.
Girl, I got stung by a bee and I was out of commission.
I stubbed my toe and I'm out of commission.
Girl, my toe is
Yeah.
blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that skin blue.
Blue. Yeah. Long story. Yeah. Blue. Yeah.
Subscribe to the Patreon.
Blue. Yeah.
Blue.
You got to subscribe
You
to the
got
Patreon.
go to the
to hear Kevin's
Patreon.
toe
You can hear my
story.
toe story. When are you gonna put a pumpkin up your hole?
I am. Oh, I showed you. I'm recreating that like pumpkin archway for the front of my house. I know.
It's astounding.
It's astounding. Time is fleeting. Madness takes its toll. It's a good Halloween movie.
What are your favorite Halloween movies? What are your like staples to watch this time? And it doesn't even have to be Halloween related, but like, what are your staples to watch?
I mean, I don't know. Because to me, I don't know if I have like a favorite scary movie that I revisit. But I mean, yeah, I love Scream. And believe it or not, something we could do together because I would want to watch it with you is I don't think I've seen Scream 2 through 6 or 2 through whatever
5.
that last one was.
Can we please? It's my favorite.
Yeah, I love, well, because it was funny. I think during COVID times, we watched Halloween, which the original Halloween, I know a lot of like movie people like herald it as like doing a lot for horror movies for some reason, but like he just like he's just standing like 40 feet away from them all the time. And it's just like, dun, 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 dun. Like, and it wasn't really like, I was like, this shit weak. Like, if you look up like best horror movies, like that's always number one, Halloween, the original. And then we watched Scream right afterwards. And I was like, this is so much better. Like the original Scream.
Yeah.
Because I think maybe because it was just in the 70s and it wasn't as
Low budget. They had, I mean,
Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis. Had literally talk about not being paid for your role.
Yeah.
Or even like the royalties from that movie is insane. Like
the royalties, that sucks.
She has never she has publicly talked about her paychecks not being substantial from that. But I mean, talk about low budget William Shatner mask spray painted white.
Girl. That's insanity.
Yeah. That they that low budget that they had to go buy a cheap William Shatner mask from Star Trek and spray paint it white.
Which that speaks volumes of the time. That a commercially sold Halloween costume was William Shatner's face in that rubber mask.
And I want to say that like there were issues even with that because it was using his name and likeness.
Yes.
But they just spray painted it white. So I'm like, does that like null and void that because I spray painted it?
Yeah.
But I'm like so shady.
I know.
To say you look spooky if I painted you white.
Well, she definitely rode the rode the whale, big fat whale. She definitely rode the wheels off that train. Evil dies tonight. Those fucking reboots. Then like 2018, 2021, and 2022 Halloween.
It just was.
Girl, I can't believe she let that happen. Them chanting "Evil dies tonight" in that hospital. I was like, couldn't believe what I was watching.
No, Mama, it was unforgivable. Because you know what? I respected her for coming back to those movies saying anything between Halloween 1 and 2, because Halloween 1 and 2 picks up from that night.
Yes.
In the hospital where she's like, this just happened to her. She's a babysitter. Finding out that this is her.
She was the babysitter? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I never saw Halloween 2.
It's
Halloween
great.
Town High. Yeah. Great movie.
Never saw it.
Great movie.
Never saw
Disney Channel Halloween movie. Hocus Pocus, of course. But yeah.
Yeah. They're making that third one, I think. Girl, I don't want it.
I don't want it or Sarah Jessica Parker's brows.
I don't need her riding Roombas again.
Girl, They like
Corny.
fucked that second one up so bad.
Corny. We'll leave it to Disney to
Yeah.
ruin something. Yeah, the Halloween 2 like picks up, right? You know, finding out that it's her brother and everything. And it's like, oh God, he just wants to kill me because I'm related. And it was like, because it started off as like, why are you just killing babysitters on Halloween? But then it becomes like a vengeance.
Sorry, baby. I had to do it. I had to get it out. Okay. It was literally like, yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's just something, and then the third one had nothing to do with the franchise.
Okay.
And then it just started spiraling.
Oh,
from
yeah.
there.
And wasn't there like Halloween H2O or something? Girl.
Mama. Actually, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Unpopular opinion, H2O, one of my favorites.
I never saw any of these.
So fucking good
except
because
one.
she was in
H2O.
She was in H2O and then Resurrection. And then H2O was 20 years later.
Yeah.
Now her son's involved. So good. Like she was a professor at this campus, changes her name, everything. So fucking good. Like I feel like we need to like watch that one.
Yeah.
And then like Resurrection, because Resurrection, she ends up like she said, this is it. Like you got to kill me in this one.
Yeah.
'Cause she was like,
Just kill me.
She's like, I'm fucking done. So
Yeah.
in the beginning of the movie, takes him up to the roof. And he stabs her and then pushes her off and she's dead.
Okay.
So when they said, can you come back for this? We're going to like reboot it. But she was like, everything from
Between
3
okay.
and Resurrection did not happen. She's
Okay.
like, anything from 1 and 2, basically from that
We're
night,
picking up from
we're
there.
going 40 years later of where the
Okay.
fuck I am. Because she's like, we are not talking about that foolish nonsense in between.
All that. Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I respect her for laying her dick
Yes.
like out and saying, suck this
Yeah.
or you're getting nothing.
Totally.
Because like Nev Campbell, you are the face of that. You built this fucking franchise, and to disrespect Nev Campbell and saying Spyglass, whoever it was at the time of the production company, backhanding you,
Yeah.
saying we're not paying you what you
Yeah.
deserve is
Yeah.
fucking wild to me. And the outrage of like the fans. And even now, there's like, I don't know. I have to look it up because I'm really not sure why Melissa Barrera being fired and now them basically desperately needing
Pivoting.
Nev Campbell again.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you're going to bring her back. And in the 5th one, she came back and it was iconic. Where like they all came back again after all this time.
Yes.
Because Nev Campbell was in them, but there was a gap.
Yeah.
It was 2011 was the
Wow.
last one. 4 and 5. 5 came out in 2021. So it was 10 years later
Okay.
of like this, like, oh my God, they're coming back and seeing them all again. It was like, you
Yes.
felt at home. And then to have her not in the next one, it was crazy.
I know.
But
Well, and then I hate
Yeah.
when they reboot something and they do this like yada yada, bring on new people, etc. And then in the next one, there's going to be 17 characters. I don't like that either. Like get rid of the, you know what I mean? Like
but
move
Scream
on.
does it well where they pick them off one by one.
Exactly.
But then
Or I
there's
want main
Yeah.
characters to die. Jenna Ortega's character dead. Like I
No,
want like
girl, shock the people.
yes,
Shock the pee hole. And let me tell you something.
girl. And because that's the thing about Scream that was so, I think, in the zeitgeist is so jarring is that like to open up the original Scream and kill Drew Barrymore in 3 minutes.
And literally paint her as the face of the movie.
Iconic. Yes.
And to then say, oh, we're going to open up with her. Ring, ring, hello. Oh, she's dead in 5 minutes?
you want to play a game? Yeah.
Girl,
Wrong movie.
That
but
is
yeah.
Saw.
Yeah.
Again, you always Saw for someone that doesn't like grotesque.
I know. Yes, but
For
that's
someone
what-
that doesn't like grotesque, you sure love those jeans. No, I really like those jeans.
Thank you. It let the audience know in 5 seconds no one's safe. That's what was so jarring about Scream, because then you were like, anybody could die.
And it was so obvious who the killers were in one. You're like, it can't be them. They were literally telling you by the shoes that they were wearing.
Oh.
It was the killers you see, they show you their shoes multiple times that it's those black boots. The only 2 people wearing those black boots the whole movie in every fucking scene.
In the first
killers.
one?
Yeah.
I never put that together.
They were literally telling you.
I would have died.
When they were
Yeah.
all sitting at the fountain and they're all showing head to toe.
Yeah.
The only 2 people wearing those black boots were the killers.
Wow.
It
I
was
never
like
noticed
so-
that.
Wes Craven is like was a fucking genius.
Yeah.
And creating those characters, directing the first Nightmare on Elm Street, I mean, sinister. Like, sinister shit.
Wow.
I love it. So we got to watch the rest of this. I would love to sit down and watch them with you because they are so good.
Totally.
So good. So we have to do that. I would love to.
Yes. All right, let's take a quick break, and then we are going to dive back in answering questions about your biggest beauty mistakes, makeup mistakes, hair mistakes, skin mistakes, and how to fix them. How's that?
Yeah.
Alrighty. First question from Catherine.
Hello, Johnny and Kevin. This is Catherine from Canada. I'm 62, and my question is, I already have hooded eyes, and they're very crepey and lots of extra skin. What kind of eye look would you recommend? And do you have any suggestions about how to apply it? You know, because right now, when I apply my makeup, it's a bit like pushing a blanket around on the floor with a stick. Anyways, take care. Bye.
Oh my God. Oh my God, Catherine. Oh my God. I was not expecting
Catherine,
that.
I don't know if you intended that to be as funny as it was, but saying that your eyelids are like pushing a blanket around with a stick is crazy.
Oh my God.
That was hysterical. Catherine.
Okay, Catherine. Thank you, Catherine, for that question and that laugh.
So I would say best practices for this, if anybody has hooded eyes or has trouble, especially with like more mature eyes too, where the skin starts to like,
oh my God, like she said, like crepey
I would say patting motions at first, like, and I want to say like always tilt your head back so your canvas is a little more stretched out.
Yes.
But you don't ever want to pull your eye either. So don't do that. Taking matte shades and starting to define and going higher than you think, because that's a rule of thumb with any hooded eyes, is that you want to first look at where, even if you have to like look in the mirror as you are, place like a marker of like where your crease is going to be, quote unquote. So tilt your head back, and then when you see where that marker is, that's where you're like, even if you make like a small little dot that you can like take away later, of where your crease is, start like patting shades and then blending them. And even I would stay away from cream shadows because they can tend to get even more creasy on the eyes.
Yeah.
Pat matte shadows on, like any like nice creamy matte formulas. Prep your lids with like even a eyeshadow primer of Moira has a good one too that's just clear, that'll just be sticky.
Yes.
And then just pat matte shades, like a lighter color all over the lid to open up the eye. A softer matte shade in like the crease, and then or your crease wherever you place that marker, if that makes sense. And then even and then just look each step, take a look in the mirror and like relax your eyes, relax your face, and that's going to help define the eyes a little bit more.
Yeah, totally. I think you piggybacking on what you said about the padding. So I think, because I'm trying to think, it was kind of funny you saying that, because it reminded me of like all the times I've done makeup on mature skin like that, like doing weddings. And I would say as well, because of that crepiness or the lines, there's going to be on top of your natural discoloration, like any redness or veins, etc. There's going to be shadows and highlights on more textured or wrinkled skin. So what I always used to do, unlike maybe someone younger that we would say prime the lid with concealer, I never wanted to put a ton of concealer on the lid because it's just going to crease. So I would always do a little concealer though on the brow bone and blend it down, and then where it started to go into the hood, where when the eyes were open you didn't see any of that skin anymore, I would just feather the concealer off. That way when your eyes are open and what you're presenting to people, this area here is still nice and uniform and clean. Set that with the powder, and then Kevin's right. So you're not going to want to use a traditional like fluffy blending brush the way you see people like stick it in their crease and swirl, because as Catherine said, it's just going to be like the skin is just going to move around. It's like pushing a blanket around with Catherine.
Stick.
It's just going to be moving the skin around. So what I like to do, and like Kevin said, tilt your head back or literally even hold the skin up and start all the way. For me, I used to start at the lash line and get a blending brush that was still fluffy, but is more flat and maybe rounded like a little baby kitten paw.
Yep.
Dip into your shadow. And then what I used to do was push it on the lid and swipe down, push it and go like that and start building and building and building and then stop and look. And if I didn't see it yet, then I knew I needed to keep, and I almost worked my way from the bottom up until it kissed out where you can see it when your eyes are open. What Kevin described was the opposite, where you almost like put a marker looking at the mirror where you're gonna see your eyeshadow before you, when your eyes are open, and then work down either way. But pressing the shadow is your best bet. And then once it would almost be stamped on how I would want it. And I used to feel like, believe it or not, like more mature skin could handle, I don't want to say smoky in the sense of like blown out, but I mean
darker lids.
Darker all over the lid.
Yes.
Where I wouldn't do the traditional, like you see the people, especially even a bride, where it was like the light, shimmery, or even matte light on the inside. I actually used to always start at the lash line and just then bring it up. And the minute it kissed out from the hoods where you saw it looking in the mirror, feather it off. And you could stamp it on barbarically like that, where you can see it in the mirror. Then just take a clean, firmer blending brush and start to just buff that edge out. And that's how I would do it. Yeah.
Definitely.
Great question, Catherine.
Thank you for the laugh.
Oh my God. I'm going to remember that forever. Pushing a blanket around with a stick. Oh my God. All right. Next question is from Nicole.
Well, hello, beautiful people. So my question is for someone who has a rather snarky personality. Think Teresa is dead, but I can go darker than that. I love beauty. I love writing reviews and things like that. And I want to be a better participant in the community. But I feel like I can't be as authentic to myself as I would like to be, which I know is your guys' problem as well to an extent. But you guys are obviously like way further, like in a galaxy far, far away compared to me. So I was just wondering if you had any tips as far as somebody who is like, because I can't really do YouTube because I'm never going to get monetized or anything like that because of my sort of personality. Are there any platforms that you think are better? Do you think I should just accept that I'm going to have to sort of edit myself a bit more? And thank you for this, by the way. This is so cool.
Thank you, Nicole. Wow.
Thanks, Nicole.
Girl.
Okay, listen.
Yeah, girl.
Coming from a place where we have built ourselves on honesty and brutal honesty at that.
Yes.
It hasn't afforded us the opportunities that others have gotten. So going into something like this, we were in a mentality of this is going to be the most honest. Well, I should say you started this as the most honest beauty podcast there was.
Yeah.
Which I think is respected by many, but feared by brands. So respected by listeners and viewers, but these brands are fearful of you then opening up something or reading something or seeing a product. But we're not just saying that's shit. Her outfit was shit.
Yes.
And yet, like,
we always give a reason.
We give a reason, no matter the season. But I would say,
I think you have to make that choice.
I
think
from the jump,
girl, because you know what it is? It was like for me, even too, I kind of, and I think that's the catch-22 of doing something you love for a living, or even trying to do something you love for a living, is you very quickly learn that no matter what you do, whether you're an accountant, whether you are a teacher, half the job is politics. Half the job is the politics of the job. And I think for me, when I started doing this, I'm like putting makeup on myself on the internet. I get to do what I always idolized with YouTubers, etc. And then I got to like show acting chops and do comedy skits in the whole 9 yards. But I very quickly realized that, I don't know, I had unintentionally carved out this audience that gelled with my personality, like you're saying about yours. They gelled with what is this? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And then when I started the beauty podcast, it was the same thing. And then I think you coming on, just unbeknownst to both of us, poured gasoline on a fire, because we hadn't seen each other in so long, and we were like catching up as we were doing this, that we were making each other laugh by being so us and going like what is that? Like that we almost didn't even realize how blunt we were being. Yeah. And I will say, like, that was also, whatever you want to call it, my fault, not my fault. Maybe it's good that, you know, it is what it is. Because I started this podcast after my own channels, I was like, nobody's watching this. You know what I mean? Like, I knew a core couple thousands came over to watch and listen to the podcast, but like I don't know. It felt like it was a whole new endeavor. I needed to do something new at the time. So you and I could be ruthless in ourselves, and like it didn't matter. But like we realized like it does, because these brands don't like that level of honesty. And it's funny because it's like, as controversial as he is, I don't think people realize that, like, take someone like a Jeffree Star. People idolized Jeffree Star's honesty, but that came with a price of Jeffree Star wouldn't have been able to be Jeffree Star if he didn't have Jeffree Star Cosmetics, because Jeffree Star never got a single brand deal. He made all of his money himself, so he could be that honest. He wasn't reliant on needing to be a part of the industry. Yeah. And even to Jeffree Star, to that extent, even me, if I could snap my fingers, I don't know if I would want to be as vicious as he was, in the sense that it was just, a lot of it was for shock value, etc. But I think that's why I took such a long, that's a big catalyst as to why I took such a long break from short form and everything but this, was because I needed to literally spend the last 5 months like reevaluating how I can sit in front of that camera on my own and talk about this makeup and not feel like I'm kissing their ass, but also being honest. And that comes with a lot of reconciliation and negotiating of how honest are you going to be, so on and so forth. And like I said, it's the same with an accountant. I'm sure accountants would love to kick the door down and you say to their boss, what are you doing? Yada, yada. But you can't. You got to walk that tightrope.
Yeah. So with all that being said too, to Nicole's point, and I have one in mind, what do you think is the platform then where it is the most accepted to be this honest? It's
kind of sad, but it's like, in our case now is Patreon, because we can say whatever we want, because you have to understand as well, when we sit down to come up with these episodes, we love every episode that we do. Obviously, we might love more than others, but on YouTube here and on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts for the main episodes, every week we have to evaluate what does best with the algorithm. What is the most viewed? What is this? And 9 times out of 10, if there's drama in the title, if the word James Charles is written, if the word Jaclyn Hill is written, which we don't really want to talk about. I don't want to talk about Jaclyn Hill anymore, but those are the episodes that do the best. And then if we upload an episode like this, it's not going to do as well as something else. So because
and this is what we like doing.
And this is our favorite thing, is the ones we actually, I feel like, love the most are, other than new makeup, just full purchase or past episodes do well. But the episodes we love the most do the worst on the algorithm. And that's part of the negotiation. When you're a business and you're sustaining your business, product A might be your favorite product to make, but if it doesn't sell, sorry, right, you got to make more product B. Like, right, that's how it is. Where Patreon, we could upload a video like this past month's bonus episode. We thought we were going to do something else, and we were almost vomit laughing, talking about millennials chugging milk and how much milk we drank as kids, like just random
Speak for yourself.
streams of consciousness.
Yeah.
Like the authenticity on something like a Patreon is amazing. However, we would not have the Patreon following we have if I didn't start on social media and then eventually turned into making podcasts. And then we turned this podcast into what it is, building the base we built, and then got a Patreon. Like, so it's like you need an audience to be able to get a Patreon, and that is difficult. But what I would say is, my thing is this: I never thought putting a towel on my head and telling and doing this for skits, or even like putting makeup on and sharing my makeup videos. I have a personality that I always feel misunderstood. I always feel weird amongst other people because I feel like I'm just, I don't know, I don't fit in any way in that regard. And I found an audience. You know what I mean? People find you. You gotta, water finds its own level. You have to put, there's a lid for every pot. Put yourself out there, and I guarantee you the thing I even underestimate is that there's millions of other people that have your exact personality and want to share it with you.
Yeah.
Look at you and I, who has our fucking weird brand of how many things overlap that, who would have, like, insanity.
Yes.
All right, next question is from Kaylee Williams.
Hi, Johnny and Kevin. First time caller, long time listener. Don't know why I said that. Anywho,
Love.
I am really interested in specifically the press and roll technique when it comes to powdered foundations, or even just doing powder over liquid foundation, especially for textured or really large pore oily skin. I know Kevin has mentioned it, and Johnny, you have also mentioned it, and it's just something I've been dying to know specifically what you guys mean by press and roll. Awesome. Thanks. Love you both. Bye.
Oh my God. Love you, Kaylee. That is a gal that listens.
A long time coming,
girl,
too.
You say press and roll. I remember the very first time I made a video.
I remember watching that video in real time, hearing my name, and I was like not paying attention. I was like,
yeah.
Crazy.
And
because I texted you and I was like,
yes.
You little slut.
We hadn't talked to him forever, but I was like, I'm not taking Baby Boo's technique and not crediting him. You told me that years ago, girl. And
that gagged me.
Let me tell you, it changed my, so just
I think
get
we hung
into
out
it.
Shortly after that.
Yes.
Because I was like, why haven't we hung out? And then we just got together after that.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say that's where it all started.
Yeah.
Okay, so press and roll. This is something that because of my own, what I wanted out of my skin at the time, I was like, I need to take a technique that I've seen in other brands where they would take translucent powder on like one of those like domed brushes, and then they would just like gingerly like over the nose.
I know.
So then I said, I'm going to take that.
Load up the brush.
I'm going to take a fluffy brush that's pinched. So almost like if you took a domed brush and pinched it. So
squeezed it.
Number 50 from Sephora collection.
Okay.
Fluffy and slightly pinched. Lot of bristles, slight density to it. That's what you want.
Meaning that you don't want a lot of, like when you're holding the brush straight up, you don't want a lot of gaps in it. You want it to be
if you hold the brush and it's going, you don't want it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want wheatgrass.
Yes.
Mama, you want to shake that brush and it's like
just a
white
little.
boy at the club, barely moving.
Don't.
Yeah.
Totally. Okay.
You don't want that brush moving a lot. So number 50 Sephora collection is my favorite thing to do this with.
Okay.
You put on your tinted moisturizer, foundation, whatever you want. I always preferred medium to full coverage because if you want to get glam, you're going to get glam.
If we're going to fucking paint the wall, we're doing 2 coats.
Yeah. And we're not doing this with translucent powder. This is pressed foundation powder that has coverage and color.
Yes.
You are then taking that said brush into the powder, honey.
Yes.
And you're almost wiggling that brush in there
to make sure she's evenly coated.
Tapping off that excess, mama. So you're going to see powder in there. You want to look at that brush. And I take that with an inch of my life. And you want to take that full powder brush and you want to press it into the skin and just press and like literally press it into the skin and let that right side or the left side of the brush come up. As you start to literally, like, if you were pressing in, like, I'm trying to think of the motion that is. Like,
I get kneading dough. I don't know.
Yeah, like if you're you're starting with almost like the right side of the brush, and then you're laying it down, pressing all that
Yes.
into the
then
skin, and then just
left
lifting
and
the same
release.
way.
Yes.
And you're doing that. I do that in a motion sometimes where you're almost like where you see people taking a powder puff and they pack it on their skin. I take that with my powder foundation, and you're pressing and packing. You're pushing the powder in. So pressing and rolling it off the skin, and you could do it quickly all over the face, creates this veil where sometimes it might feel a little bit heavy at first. Because then by the time I take powder bronzer, and I've already by the time I'm pressing and rolling, I already have cream contour, I have cream blush on.
Yes.
I'm going almost all over that, putting that powder everywhere, then reinforcing with my other powders over it. By the time you then do setting spray, your face is so blurred and it's so mattified, and it is just perfected and airbrushed. And
yes.
I used to love taking this with the Makeup Forever powders, but I love it with the MAC Studio Fix powders. Those are one of my favorites to do this with now.
Yes.
But anything like the She Glam, the MAC.
Yeah.
You could do this with, oh my God, there's so many. Like the L'Oreal powder foundations are great to do this with.
ColourPop.
Yeah, ColourPop.
Because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that press and roll technique, what he's saying is it's so important about the density of the brush. And because that's the thing too, is when it comes to makeup, I think people want to people just want to like use carpet fibers to put their eyeliner on, and then they're like, doesn't look good. I'm like, well, what do you think? Like, it's about, if I tried to paint my wall with a spatula, it wouldn't look that good.
Yeah.
Like, the tool matters.
It's so important. And that's my biggest gripe about when I worked at Sephora, and I said, do you have a brush at home? They're like, I have something that looks like that.
I put my blush on with my fingers and it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And they're like, well, I'm using a paddle brush to put on powder blush.
And if I use my kitchen scissors to cut my toenails, I'm not ready for the beach.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I love that.
Girl, like, so the tool matters. And the kind of brush Kevin's describing is because imagine if that brush, a powder brush, wasn't as dense as he's saying, and you dipped in that powder, held it upside down, and if the powder starts to fall between the bristles, not dense enough.
Yeah.
It's that where it's not going to be draggy, hard.
Yeah.
It's still a powder brush, but it's a uniform, every brush hair, when you dip in that powder, the powder's laying on top of the dome like freshly fallen snow.
Yes.
And then you're tapping off because you don't want to go with all that extra powder, all that snow going right on the skin. It's going to and cling. So he's tapping off. You have one layer of powder, and pressing and rolling is almost depositing a powder foundation the way a liquid does, meaning he's getting one layer of beautifully dispersed powder, done. Next section, done. Next section, done. Next section, done. And that's how you're getting that evenly dispersed veil of powder foundation, opposed to powder foundation and just
swirling. Don't you dare.
Don't you dare swirl. Once liquid's done.
Swirl, Bare Minerals, jail.
Once that liquid or cream and anything is on the face.
Nothing gets swirled.
Tap, 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 press and roll. I don't want to see swipe. Get out of here. And
dancing in circles, you shall not. I swirl around.
Literally.
You will not.
And to kind of maybe answer Kaylee's question better is, and I will also say, Kevin says he prefers medium to full coverage. I will say, as someone that does like guy makeup a lot and like does wear tinted moisturizers, etc., as someone also that is oily, when I'm not in the mood to wear a lot of liquid, this press and roll technique is an amazing way to pick up the coverage slack from not wanting to wear a fuller coverage liquid.
Yeah.
And it does it in a way where, like I said, there's something about the way this blurs and fixes texture where, like I said, the day I discovered this was working at Sephora together. Kevin was doing this teenage girl's makeup who had cystic acne. It was very intense. And from across the store, you put this fucking girl in full coverage. She was like full B over the acne, where you could obviously, if there's a hill of acne, hill of anything, you're going to see it because you can't get rid of peaks and mountains with makeup. But the makeup laying over every imperfection on the skin looked like velvet. And I went up to him and I was like, how do you do that? How do you put full coverage foundation on someone with that much of problematic acne, and it looked that silky
and still be
it was this.
breathable.
Exactly.
Because I wasn't putting KVD Lock-It foundation.
That's what I mean. You're not putting Sherwin-Williams on
I
it.
wasn't doing Estee Lauder double wear.
Yes.
I was putting a medium coverage foundation
Mm-hmm.
and then letting, like you said, that powder picking up the slack for extra coverage and smoothness without shellacking foundation on.
Absolutely.
That's, yeah. And I mean, you are like the queen of doing this, where you do that tinted SPF and press and roll a powder and it lasts all day because it's how you're putting the makeup on. If you were to just swirl powder all over, you're lifting texture, you're getting blotchy
kicking
coverage.
up the cobwebs.
Oh,
it's
mama.
peeling up everything.
It's not right.
And I don't press and roll everywhere. I put it where I need it. And then in areas that, even for me being oily, where liquids have trouble sticking to my skin, my nose, maybe I don't want to build up a lot between my brows because I'm a little drier there. I have this weird red line here that like I could put full coverage on and it doesn't cover. Maybe blue veins. I put my foundation on. You don't have to press and roll the entire face.
No.
I build up where I need it. And that's the beauty of powder being so thin when it's laying on the skin. Unlike liquid. Like if you go to dot concealer all over, you're going to have perfect skin circle, perfect skin circle, perfect skin circle. And then the powder is so much more forgiving, but effective.
Agreed.
All right. We have Carmen.
Hello to my beautifully bothered boys. Just wanted to say I love your podcast, and from a beauty retail person, I really enjoy all of your takes. But my question is for each of you, if you could only choose 3 brands to use for the rest of your life, only for makeup, which brands would you use?
Carmen. Wow.
Carmen, I don't know.
All right. I got my 3.
Go ahead.
Clinique. Bare Minerals.
Shut up.
Oh my God.
I
That is
know,
so
girl.
tough. I mean, wow.
I don't know yet, but I was going to say this is such a difficult question because how many people asked you this when you did weddings? What's your favorite brand?
I
was
know.
like, none.
And I was like,
yeah.
it's
And that's the thing. It's like we love one thing from all these different brands or whatever.
It's the melting pot of makeup in my bag.
Answering this question is more about what brands have enough.
Or what 3 brands could I piecemeal together?
That's what I mean. Like, you know what I mean? What 3 brands have enough that's serviceable?
You know what?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, MAC.
Okay.
So MAC is one of my
Okay.
I know I can do a full face alone. And there's a lot of products that I'm like rediscovering that I'm in love with. So MAC is definitely one of them. Revlon is another one of them that I'm like.
I was going to say that and I thought you were going to judge me.
No, Revlon is definitely
because honestly, girl,
one of the,
Revlon fucking eats and people sleep on Revlon.
Mom, not bankrupt.
Oh, and they're bankrupt. Yeah, girl.
Crazy.
She broke and she out here fucking turning
and
it.
L'Oreal is still doing the Tortina
know.
Aguilera moves, mama, coming out with bullshit.
Girl.
Anyway, telescopic. Ugh.
Oh.
And then my third one is kind of like, what do I just like?
Yeah.
And I would say, oh my God, I don't know. It's so...
I know. I agree with you. I'm going to pick Revlon because it's my favorite foundation in the world.
Yeah.
But then on top of it, I'm like, but the lipsticks... The lip products should be set for life. The lip liners, the powders, the Stay Matte powder. And then it's like everything else in that regard, like it would be serviceable.
But yeah, like MAC for like the blushes, the bronzers.
Yes.
But I would say my other brand that I would have to maybe pick just to have their products is probably either Trixie Cosmetics or Kimchi.
Okay.
Because I would say leaning more towards...
more fun, more of the artsy stuff.
Artsy makeup that's like I still staples every day.
You know
where
what?
I could get away with it, but either one of them.
So I would say Revlon, and you know what else I'm going to say? You might find this surprising. Is HAUS Labs.
I was thinking about that, but
because
I was like...
of all the eyeliners, the bronzers, the blushes, highlighters, that's all my powder products. Some of the matte eye paints, the concealer, I could make work. I do like that is like another whole category that Revlon doesn't serve for me.
And thinking about the launches from these brands, if you were to only have 3 and all the future launches of who's doing it and doing it well, HAUS Labs was definitely on my list. But I feel like there's more variety and stability in MAC of like the things that I know that I love. Yeah, the Kimchis and the Trixies for like the innovation, almost like your HAUS Labs. Like, what are they going to come out with? Because the Kimchi concealer.
Yes.
And like the multi functioning products from Kimchi, and then the powder, like the setting powder, and I would say the Revlons for the staples of like the satin inks and the foundation, and
and then my third would be Moira.
Yeah, I was thinking about that
because
too.
I was thinking about the eyeshadow situation, the whole night. And Moira, I mean, there's so many random hits where like they come out with the cream blush that's the best fucking cream blush on the market out of nowhere, and then the next thing might be a little but then the next thing is unbelievable. Yeah. Like so, it's for that indie. Yeah, mine would be Moira, House Labs, and
if we get
Revlon.
Stuck on this like island together with our 3 brands, I'll just take your makeup bag.
There we go. Thank you, Carmen.
Very fun.
All right, next up is Paula.
Paula, can you hear us?
Paula, can you hear me?
Hi, guys. This is Paula. I'm a longtime watcher. Love you guys to death. I have a few things, but the one that really bothers me the most, there's actually 2. Broken capillaries across the front of my face. It is not rosacea. It is definitely broken capillaries from when I was giving birth to my first child. And then I have wrinkly under eyes that I can't seem to make anything look good. So I can't get rid of the redness blotches on my face while even using like Estee Lauder Double Wear or with concealer. Everything just makes it look like it's so much stuff on my face. And then under the eyes, I've used everything you guys have recommended, including the NYX Bear With Me Concealer Serum and Natasha Denona. I mean, I'm buying everything and I still it doesn't look good. Is there anything that I could be doing with my skincare, or is there other products that you recommend? I would greatly appreciate it. Love you guys so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paula.
The capillary thing. So my mom has the same thing. So my mom's nose is very red and she has a lot of broken capillaries. And it was funny because anytime I've done her makeup, I will say and I don't know if you can relate to this, Paula, or if you've done anybody like that, but I was almost like, when I used to do my mom's makeup, I was like, oh wow, like the foundation that matches her face will look ashy. On her nose because it is so red that the red tone underneath the beige is looking gray.
Yep.
So color corrector, but I don't know if you've tried the Arborian green. That by far is like the best redness corrector where you're not going to have a green nose.
It'll calm it down.
Yes,
to a
it's going to calm it down.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because this happens to me too, where I have just a very red nose. I don't have the capillary situation, but my nose, it just gets very red. When I put foundation on, I'm like, oh, okay, I would need to put twice as much foundation on my nose to get that redness covered as the rest of my face. And then that's where I pick up the slack with powder. So that's where I press and roll, especially for makeup, that press and roll that powder foundation on my nose, because it's going to give you that oomph more of coverage without just having this mask feathering into lighter coverage. And that's the thing about the powder, is the powder can look more skin-like and build up that coverage where you need it. But I would definitely say color correctors as well. Anything about the capillaries?
I would say
before I go to the under eyes.
My best thing about capillaries, and even for the under eyes, is kind of like a 2-in-1 that I love, is the Anastasia concealer. Oh. That concealer, I love to take that as like a little bit of foundation, because with like use a flatter brush like 47.
Yeah.
The old number 12 from Ulta, they just redid it. It's not as good, but it's fine. Patting and pressing, almost like you don't want to swipe so much over redness. You want to like tap your coverage more, and that'll build.
Yes.
Especially with that concealer. Very lightweight, very moisturizing, and then pressing and rolling a powder over that won't feel like a lot of makeup, because it's not the coverage and then the dry down of Estee Double Wear.
Exactly.
And if It Cosmetics is not really working for you, if you've ever tried the CC cream, if that doesn't really work, like the Nude Glow and then a concealer over that to keep it lightweight layers. But I would say try the Anastasia concealer too.
Yeah.
So what would you say for the under eyes?
Okay, so I would say if the NYX Serum Concealer or the Anastasia, I'm sorry, you mentioned the NYX Serum Concealer and the Natasha Denona. So obviously we don't know the full story because we're not watching Untucked, but we don't know the full story because you were just saying you don't like the way it looks. So that could be a number of factors. And putting on my detective hat, if you don't like the way the NYX Serum Concealer looks and you don't like the way the Natasha Denona looks, based on, and correct me if I'm wrong, based on the coverage and the formula of both of those, that is why this could go in multiple directions. Because do you not like the heaviness of the Natasha Denona, or is it looking too dry? And is the NYX Serum Concealer looking more hydrated, but it's not enough coverage, so you don't like that you still see darkness underneath? It could go either. So we're not really sure what the exact issue is when you say you don't like the way it looks. But I will say this is, as God is my witness, and I'm not kidding, in all of my years of doing makeup, could I have that Lawless mirror? I don't think I've ever used a concealer as beautiful as this Maxine's Revenge French Face Concealer that's specifically made for mature skin because of this like technology where it says it stretches and doesn't settle. Like I don't think it's kind of crazy. Kevin recently was like, you were kicking my ass about skincare because I'm a big like retinol person, whatever the case is, especially that I have oily skin. I was very dedicated to my oil combating skincare. And I was like, I just feel, and I never drink enough water. But anyway, I was like, I just always, when I'm putting makeup on now, I was like, it just looks dry. I don't like the way it looks, so on and so forth. And he's really was telling me, so I switched to using the CosRx Snail Mucin, which I've been doing all week, for the wetness. And then I go right in with the Drunk Elephant Hyaluronic Acid Serum. And then I go right in with, my moisturizer, a more hydrating eye cream during the day because I can't be using the retinol eye cream every night and not combating it with moisture. I leave the Rare Beauty eye patches by my bed, and if we're watching TV in bed, I put them on. But that's the thing as well. It's like if it's a dryness issue or if it looks dry under the eye, that's a hydration thing where it's going to be maybe a switch up in the skincare or the prep. But if it's a coverage thing, that's where I always try to give people a realistic answer in the sense that, like, for me, in all my years, Maxine's Revenge is the most beautiful looking concealer under the eye. If you want more coverage than that, there's only so much room in the bucket for the water. Something else is going to dump out, if this makes sense. Where if you want more coverage than that, you're going to have to switch to a formula that might not look as... It might crease a little bit more. It might this. And that's the thing. I think people sometimes need to surrender to the fact that any product on the market can only do so much. Yeah. It's not going to not settle in the lines, be full coverage and hide that darkness, not crease, never look bus, another club. Yeah. There's only so it's give and take in that regard. 100%. And then my last super quick thing is the same with the face. With the She Glam powder, because it's so finely milled, when there's times on clients that I would do, let's say the Maxine's Revenge isn't enough coverage for you, I would press and roll literally a powder foundation that matches my concealer, press and roll that under the eyes. Because I would think it would do this. It does the exact same thing under the eyes, and it's going to build up that coverage without putting on a ton of liquid, which might be giving you what you might be referring to as that not liking it, meaning the texture, etc. But that's my take. I agree. Yeah. All right, next up is Casey.
What is hands down your favorite makeup product to buy? Mine would have to be eyeshadow. I have like 27 palettes now. I absolutely love you guys so much.
Okay, Casey, I'm going to be that American.
Talk to me all day.
No, I'm going to say
R&R.
What is it about an Australian accent that like turns me on? Like that was so... like scratch something in my brain. It was like, Casey. Thank you, Casey.
It's Casey too.
I know. Yeah.
It's so funny.
I have a type. a name. My favorite makeup product. And she was saying hers is eyeshadow.
Yeah. Like what's like your favorite step, I guess? Cause that would lend itself. Mine is lip.
That's insane.
Mine is lipsticks, and anything like lip product wise is my favorite.
You mean your billboard?
Baby,
where you advertise?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, okay, I'm really you know what? I would say eyeshadow because I'm like such a nut job. Like,
yeah,
I am like, so many times I sit down and like, I'm like, I'm going to do something simple and then cut to me just, but what turns me on the most. Like when I open PR packages and I'm like everything I immediately open, but I'm immediately need to get it on the face because I need to analyze it from scientific standpoints. Foundation. I have so many foundations. I have, I'm not kidding you, 10 foundations that I bought that I've never even tried before because I'm just like, I need it. And then I like lose track of what I'm doing and I don't even try it.
Foundation's probably my least favorite.
Because that is the war paint. That's the guiche. That's the illusion.
No, that's the lip for me. The lip is what makes me feel
you'd rather
put together.
Okay, but imagine a lip. You got scared from the noise coming from the door.
I was like, are we pausing?
Yeah,
it's the rats in the wall.
Literally, you would put a lip on bearskin.
I'm not saying that I wouldn't wear foundation, but foundation is probably my least favorite venture when I'm doing my makeup.
Really?
I could care less.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Or couldn't care less, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
Wow.
I'm like, if it works, that works. It'll be there for 10 years. I'll use that forever.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't. When there's new foundations or there's like new lip products, new foundations, new eyeshadow palettes, new all that, foundations are, I'm like, oh, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like, unless it's going to be groundbreaking, like I ordered the new Easy Blur because I'm curious to see how it is on my skin, but I'm like, yeah, that'll get returned.
I know, girl. I'm the Huda Easy Blur. Everyone's like wetting themselves over. I'm trying it out a couple times because let's just say the first time, I don't know. I was like, I got a cocktail that's different to be super impressed, but I don't know what it is about foundation. It's something with foundation. And you know what? I'm going to say it. I think it's also because of our skin types and texture. I think a lot more formulas work on you than me. So I think when you're someone, you never look different. Your face always looks like that. You have days sometimes or whatever, but your face always like you.
Is that a read?
No, you're like, meaning like, let's say you like go a super long time without exfoliating or you test a different thing out. It could be maybe clinging in a way, but 9 times out of 10, you could just blindly pick a foundation and it's gonna look like this. When my oily skin and pores, which you don't have a pore, you've done episodes with me before that you actively see the foundation just disappearing from my nose. Like it's literally going away. Like, so when that's the case, I think I have more of that third eye to always be like, is this going to be the one? Is this going to be the one to do what other ones don't? Like, because I'm still on the hunt for something that will make me look like you.
Girl, it's like Tinder.
Girl, like
yes,
I'm still swiping on foundations. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, it's like something like the One Size primer, that oil sucker that just came out. Like, I feel like finally did that for me with primer. Like, because I can't tell you, like, every foundation I wear now, not only is it keeping the oil at bay, it's preventing creasing. Like, it's just doing, and multiple times, because always like the first 3 times I do it, it's amazing. And then I try it a month later and it's like,
womp womp.
That's what I mean. So I'm always on that hunt for those kinds of foundations because I know how hard that is. Yeah.
Interesting. Thanks, Casey.
Yeah. Next question is from Kate.
Hi, both. This is jolly timely. I retired last week and I decided yesterday that for the first time in my life, I'd like to dye my very blonde hair. I've got Dutch ancestry. Bright pink. And so I really would like some advice on what to do makeup wise, because my usual look isn't working. The pink is so dark, it makes my skin look sallow. I'm not sure what I do. Do I go pink on the lips and the blusher and the eyes? I just really need some advice about what to do with my new normal. Thank you. Love the show, by the way.
Okay, Kate, marry me. That lip gloss took that right off.
This is, girl, this lip is challenging today. So
Kevin is fighting for his life with that lip.
girl, this looks like raw meat in the grocery store.
Fucking ground beef.
It
on
looks
those
like
lips.
marbled meat.
Yeah,
girl.
Kevin Tartar over there.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Okay, Kate, I'm obsessed with you for multiple reasons. Again, sucker for an accent. B, the fact that you retired, congratulations, good for you, you made it through the grind. And C, the fact that you retired and dyed your hair bright pink.
I love
obsessed. So she said her hair was pink, but dark pink.
Mm-hmm. So it's making her feel like washed out and sallow.
Yes.
So I can relate because when I had on this channel or on the regular if you've been a long time watcher, you know that when I had pink, orange, yellow, when I went like full, even on the sides and everything, when there's no string of realism there and you are full fantasy colored.
Yeah.
So when you don't have any dark rooted color, literally,
yes,
it makes it look more unnatural. So then everything I felt my most unusual then, and I was the same skin tone. Say it.
No, I'm still forming it while you're talking.
So I felt more pale, and when I didn't wear makeup, I felt more
washed.
Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, like I needed. When I'm blonde, though, it's funny when I go as like stark light, I don't feel that way because my skin's pale, my hair's pale. But when there's so much contrasting bright color here and I had no makeup on in some of those episodes and I was getting read by you people.
Yes. Fantasy colors on light skin, which I'm just going to assume you have light skin, Kate, based on what you're saying, to say sallow, etc. Fantasy colors on light skin does, especially pink, does to the skin what going jet black would do.
It just
you look like a ricket-ridden little
stay close to the candles. The stairway can be treacherous.
Like you look like a corpse.
Yeah.
Like a
my
corpse.
skin looked pink gray, and my hair was pink gray.
Yes,
like it was very. It's you have to warm up your face like a good foundation, and then you have to put more bronzer on.
Okay. Yes.
More blush.
So I will say this, Kate, is I don't know how fair you are, like what your skin tone is or what undertone you are. So I'm just going to take shots in the dark here. Having pink hair, okay, this might be an unpopular opinion. When I see someone with a bold red lip on and zero complexion makeup.
Ew, that's wrong.
It makes, because, hear me out, that red lip on your lips with zero foundation is gonna bring out every touch of red and pink in your face. It's gonna look messy. It doesn't look clean. Kate, your hair is your new red lip. So when you have makeup on, not saying your foundation needs to be heavy, but the flawlessness of your base is really going to do wonders for resetting in your mind, resetting your complexion down to zero. Yeah. It's the same with me being very red. When I wear full coverage, or even when I do makeup, when I started doing makeup on myself, I should say, when I did any kind of complexion product, I felt so pale because I associated my redness as my color, because I'm not that tan. Then Kevin is right, where depending if you're fair, you want to go more cool tone, contoury, or warm. You could go more typical bronzery warm, but you want to add that dimension back into the face. You want to add that bronze and that contour. And then I will say, and I feel like Kevin learned this. This is what I was like laughing at a little bit. With that pink hair, you can, but don't run headfirst into a lot of like the same tone pink blush or lipstick. Because it can look a little, it can look a little clownish. It can look a little like bright, where I actually think when your hair is bright, you have to kind of find that fine line of going more muted. Which, ironically, the way you do your makeup now
is how I should have done it.
Which is how it should have been then. But then, It was a lot of, like, you were really making the
I
statements
was wearing
with the
pink blush and I had yellow, green, and blue graphic liner on.
Girl, like, and it was a lot. So that's the thing. Don't just go, okay, the color, like, I got to run headfirst into color. I think you actually should watch a lot of maybe some of mine, some of Kevin's, like, tutorials on, like, just start with everyday makeup, figure out how to build your complexion in a way that feels comfortable but feels flawless to you, and kind of zeroes out those tones that are fighting that pinkness, making you feel sallow, and then work on building, add the life back into your skin manually. And I would even say and the blush, but unmuted neutral ways to start, and then introduce
Pomelo
pops of color.
Peach from HAUS Labs, the powder blush, the peach or hibiscus haze is like the most pink I would try for right now. Yeah. The brighter pinks once in a while, but like depending on the type of pink, I would actually do peach blush with a bronzer, neutralize your face again. That's if I could go back in time and tell myself to calm it down with the contrasting colors on my face at all times.
That's what I mean.
Was crazy.
Because you were literally like your hair was bubblegum pink and you were doing a pound of bubblegum pink blush. Like, so it
and
was
then
just...
I had yellow, green, and blue graphic liner. Yeah. I will never forget.
Because that's what I mean, Kate. Depending on the tone of the pink in your hair, you can use, if it's really warm or really cool, which I would assume would be cool, balance it out with warm. Like, don't be afraid. But a lot of that comes into the way you're building the base with the complexion. So, yeah, hope that helped. All right, we have Charlotte.
So I'm a makeup artist. I freelance as well as like work in a store similar to Sephora, but it's not Sephora. And one of the things I struggle with the most is more mature aged women who want full coverage under their eyes, but they don't want to see the makeup and they don't want to see it crinkle. Obviously, product is going to make a huge difference, but I'm limited to what I have in store. So I was wondering if you have any tips and tricks on how to maybe get the most seamless application. I know, and I have used and loved Kevin's press and roll technique, and I was wondering if you have any other tricks of the trade that you could share, especially with kind of wrinkles under the eyes. Thank you guys. Love you guys so much.
Love you too, Charlotte. I do, Charlotte, have a tip.
Go for it.
It's telling them to reevaluate their expectations. That
it's impossible.
That sends me.
And there's always things where I've tried it, like warming it up with my finger and then pressing in layers and then softly pressing it through with a brush then after, or a sponge and whatever. No matter what I did, no matter how much I bent over backwards for these people, it was never good enough. And I'm being fully honest that it will never be what they want because, again, great expectations.
Girl,
it
was unreal. We don't want to be, we're not being bitchy, but we're saying this is, when I hear the words mature skin and they want full coverage under their eye,
they think the coverage is going
to, the quote, not see it. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
But they think the full coverage means spackle, so it's going to even out their under eyes.
That all of a sudden, after it's on, it's just going to go and just dry.
And just not move and be like, even if you smile, it won't move.
It's going to harden wrinkleless.
Yeah.
And you know, and honestly, so I will say, exactly, you're limited to what you have in store, which is always a pain in the ass when you work retail. Yep. So there's that. So honestly, you work there, you know what store you're at. Use what you believe to be the best. I would say, like you were mentioning Kevin's press and roll technique. Partner that press and roll technique. I don't know if maybe you're just using a translucent powder, but I would say try it with a powder foundation, like even on yourself, like start playing around with it and see how you like it. Like maybe with the products in your store to build up the coverage with the powder over a liquid. And then before they look in the mirror and see it, make sure you have them not only set it with a good setting spray, but spray a beauty sponge with the setting spray, because you obviously can't set their concealer like looking up with their eyes open, or the setting spray will go in their eyes. What I used to do when I wanted to hydrate the concealer after the fact more was spray the round part of my beauty blender with the setting spray, have them look up, and I would press the setting spray into that liquid or powder or whatever. Obviously it would have powder on it because you're setting it, and it would add that moisture back into the makeup. Color corrector, obviously, again, you're limited to what you have in store, but this is my main advice, is I would look at clients and I would say this: if there's a scar, if there's a pimple, if there's a wrinkle, putting makeup over it, it's going to be a pimple, it's going to be a wrinkle, and it's going to be a scar with makeup on top. Makeup does not get rid of texture. if my skin goes like this and I put makeup on it, it's going to be like this with makeup on it. It's not, and I'm not talking about expectations as far as like it looking seamless on top. If you have someone that's telling you they want full coverage concealer on their more mature skin under eyes and they don't want to see it, you need to ask them to leave and go down the street to the magician shop. That sends me because it's not, that's my advice. It's about, honestly, it's about reevaluating the expectations.
Yeah.
All right, we have time for one more. Let's do Billy.
Hi, Kevin. Hi, Johnny. Very excited about this. This is so cool. Love your guys so very much. My question is, if you could give advice to your past self about beauty and makeup that you now know, what would that be?
Wow, that's a great question. Thank you, Billy.
That is incredible. Okay.
Where
Because
less?
that's so loaded.
Yeah. Hey, oh my God, it could go down 50 avenues.
Because I would, if I could go back to myself right now and me know it's me and be like, believe and trust when I tell you.
Wear less blush.
That in about 10 years' time, you're going to know this person and you're going to go on a podcast, put less goddamn makeup on. Because more is not less.
More importantly, put it down your neck.
Yeah, my yellow foundation isn't going to be.
Do you know how many times I subtly tried to be like, maybe do the neck because it looked good in person, but I knew on camera you were going to get red.
Yeah.
Because that white light hitting your neck was like a mirror compared to... Oh, and that's a different animal, though. That's like camera makeup.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, technique years ago, like...
And okay, so even about beauty, though, like what would I go back and tell myself? I would put more makeup on in high school and not give a fuck.
Oh, wow.
Be more like unapologetically into beauty at that time because I knew I wanted to be. And I was wearing makeup to school, but I think I would go more full, in a way, skip the hairdressing part of my career fully because I was just, I funny as it is, my first client was there. And I got thrown into it and I was not ready. But I would say like, dive more deep into this a little bit quicker and know that this is what you want to do and just learn it. I mean, I was learning as best as I could at the time,
but that's what I mean. What's something that you've done that you did with your makeup back then that you would go back knowing what you know now and go,
oh, girly pop, press and roll.
This episode is called Press and Roll.
And skincare under that damn makeup. Put some, not just Seabreeze astringent. You disgusting pig.
Girl. Yes.
I know. And I would just take care of my skin, honestly. That's the biggest beauty thing I would tell myself is take care of your skin at such a young age.
That is the moral of the story. I don't care what age you are right now.
I would walk my ass to CVS and be like, guess what? You're going to spend this money on me.
Wear SPF every day. Girl, I'm wearing an SPF skin tint right now. SPF 50. Like,
same.
I don't leave the house, as we've established.
I love that.
But that's what I mean.
It's so important. You still walk outside for like 5 minutes. It doesn't matter.
Literally.
You're near a window. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
So yeah, I would take care of my skin, honestly, and just tell myself to be unapologetically like sit down and learn your craft, but also take care of your skin.
Yes.
Because that's my biggest complaint that I like didn't take care of my skin until I was 18, 19. And when I really started caring.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, the skincare makes a difference when I'm actually using products and ingredients for me.
Yes.
Wow. Shock.
Totally. I would tell myself, I mean, there's so many things. Stop making your brows so dark. Stop making them look like Sharpies.
Oh, yeah.
Don't be afraid of blush. Because I never wore blush. I was monochromatic brown.
You want some of mine?
Yeah, you wore enough for the both of us. And then as a makeup artist now, I would go back and tell myself, like, which is what I do now, which piggybacks on the question before, of pay more attention to powders and the formulas of things, because the formula of a complexion product, especially foundation, concealer, is paramount to the end result. So like, and doing makeup, wearing less makeup is harder than full coverage sometimes. And so much of it comes down to, like, I was also so afraid of setting powder and everything. So that I was like, I don't know, I just would tell myself to like do techniques, honestly, like the press and roll, like get more comfortable with using powders as your friends. Which we talk about all the time. The biggest misconception in makeup is that powder is what makes you look cakey So everyone's just wearing wet foundation and setting spray and going, why isn't it lasting?
Yeah,
like
peanut butter face.
That's what I mean.
Wet peanut butter faces.
Literally, girl. Literally.
All those girls in high school, man.
I know.
Wet peanut butter till 3 p.m. And I said, okay. All right. Touching everything. Their locker, peanut butter. Everything.
Just their face print all over the high school.
Yeah. Their sweatshirt going like this with their sleeves rolled up, peanut butter. Gym class, peanut butter over everything.
Girl. Thank you so much for watching a brand new episode of Beautiful and Bothered, guys. We love answering your questions and hearing your voice. It's trippy. We got 2 Brits and an Aussie.
Love.
No.
R&R.
No.
R&R.
I love Aussies. Make sure to subscribe to Patreon because that's where you can submit these questions. We're going through them all. We're going to answer them all. And we might answer them over on Patreon. So you want to make sure to subscribe. There is tons of content over there already for a super low price, including monthly bonus episodes, as well as an after show every single week, music reactions, PR unboxings, and scolding hot tea. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel for your video episode 1 day early. Make sure to subscribe on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review if you can. And remember,
wherever you are,
you are beautiful, baby. I did it all. And wherever you are,
I hope you are happy, safe, and healthy.
I am hungry. Wherever you are. And remember, what do I have to say? And wherever you are, we hope you're happy, safe, and healthy. And remember,
you are beautiful.
Bye, baby.
Bye.
Bye, baby. Fuck.